Hello there everybody and welcome! Welcome to my ranking of all illusory walls in Elden Ring. We'll be ranking all walls on two aspects. First, we'll rank how difficult they are to find, where the perfect tier is in the middle, with walls that are too hard or too easy being ranked higher or lower respectively. And second, we'll rank what's behind them, items, enemies, bosses, etc. If you disagree about anything, make sure to shout how wrong I am in the comments. Starting off with the Academy Crystal Cave. The wall isn't very distinct and there's no real visual indication about the location. However, as soon as you go into the next room and go for the chest, there is the Burger King guy shooting at you, which indicates that there is something else in this cave. So the cave starts strong at the perfect tier. As for the stuff behind the wall, we have this one guy and we have a crystal staff. According to this guy, the crystal staff is an A tier staff, but since that's situational only if you're doing a build like that, I will nudge it down a tier and leave the Academy Key Crystal Cave illusory wall at B tier. Next we have the Roads and Catacomb. It has multiple illusory walls. We start off with the two illusory walls right under the lever. We rank them as the same wall, because both of them lead from the same place to the same place. As for difficulty, the walls themselves are visually cleaner. Additionally, when you pull the lever, you get the stupid hand-holding message telling you that somewhere a heavy door has opened. However, you have not yet found the boss, indicating there is something you're missing. It is also double, and since there's two walls, that means that it is a little bit easier to find the location. It is also in a usual location where other catacombs might have openings. And lastly, since there are a lot of illusory walls in this cave, the player is more likely to look for even more walls. Because of that, we'll put the double wall at the lever at the very easy category. As for the stuff, we have this one Sword Imp. We also have a small twin Ghost Glove Ward, which, if you're not using the best Elden Ring mod, is Ghost Glove Ward level 2. There's also a Rune Arc and 3 Root Resins. Additionally, there is another illusory wall behind this one, and so we will first rank the next one, and then we'll return to this one to add up all the rewards. After that, we have the wall that is just behind the body holding the root resin. There is a number of indications here as well, some repeats, like the fact that we are still looking for a bot, the fact that there are other illusory walls around this area so the player is more likely to look. Additionally, the item draws attention to this corner, and so the player is likely to look at it. So all those things together will rank the illusory wall at easy. As for the rewards, we have a small twin Grave Glove Ward, which for those who don't use the best mod is a level 1 Glove Ward. And once again, there is another illusory wall, so we will return to rank the rewards from this one once we have ranked the next one. Afterwards, we have the illusory wall behind the Glove Ward. This one has the exact same difficulty as the last one. We are still looking for a boss. We still know that there are other illusory walls here, so we are more likely to look. And the Glove Ward draws attention to this exact corner, meaning we of course put it at the easy category. As for the rewards, this place has 2 root resins, as well as the Spirit Color Snail, which summons Crucible Knights. The reward for the boss being a Glintstone Sorcerer Ashes. As a whole, I think that he's an interesting gimmicky boss, which for a first playthrough is an interesting puzzle to figure out. The Glintstone Sorcerer Ashes don't add much. Because of that, we will put the Dead End Glove Ward Floodgate at a B tier. The Glove Ward itself doesn't really add anything of value, therefore we will also put this one at B tier. Lastly, the previous illusory walls did have the Rune Arc, which is a nice reward, but I don't think it's quite enough to bump it up to an A tier, so this will also remain at B tier. Well, this is this chain of illusory walls completed. There are more in the Roads and Catacombs. So next we move to the double illusory walls below the stairs. As for difficulty, it is a cleaner wall, so it's possible to notice it. Additionally, it is at a location where other catacombs might have openings. It is also a double wall, and lastly, the habit of having other illusory walls in this cave does mean that a player is more likely to look here. Because of that, the difficulty on this one will be ranked as a perfect one. As for the stuff behind it, we have 2 imps with the forked hatchets, we have 5 human bow shards, a watchdog staff, and a small ternary Grave Glove Ward, level 3 for those without a mod. According to this one guy, the watchdog staff is an A tier weapon. However, since it is only useful if you're doing a build specific to that weapon, we will move it down to a B tier. Then we have the one at the backside of the dungeon. As for this difficulty, it is at a rather obvious location as it is clear the end of the dungeon, and also the dungeon has other illusory walls, therefore it is more likely for a player to look for others, leaving this illusory wall at an easy tier. As for the stuff behind it, we have 3 imps with the forked hatchets, and we have a single chest containing Ralocaria Soldier Ashes. Because the imp gank is kinda annoying, and I don't think they are so particularly interesting, I am putting this in D tier. I'm not putting it in F tier because the ashes are after all a unique item, and I'm not going to put unique items in F tier. Next up is the illusory wall in the Black Knife Catacombs. For its difficulty, its location is pretty clearly visible because it is clearly outlined by the pillars and the dead end. Additionally, Fia's hint about Rugier's questline does point to this catacomb.
Have you ever heard of Black Knife Prince? Dear Roger likes to talk of them when abed. In truth, I've heard tell from someone else about the Black Knife Prince that fascinate dear Roger so.
And so if you complete the catacomb, but do not progress either her or his questline, it is likely that the player will realize that they must have missed something and come back to look for more. Because of that, we are putting the Black Knife Catacombs in the easy category. As for rewards, it has a Long Grave Glovewort level 4, and it has the Black Knife Assassin boss fight, which is in the second smallest arena in the game, the first one being the Miranda Flower fight in the Whipping Peninsula. As a whole, I do enjoy Black Knife Assassins, but I do not really find this fight enjoyable because the arena is way too small and all the benches do get in the way. That being said, the boss does have drops, which is the Assassin's Cerulean Dagger, which could be also a talisman, and the Black Knife print, which is required for progressing Rogier's questline. The amazing thing about the Black Knife print and Rogier's questline by extent is that at least one of the funniest exchanges in the game.
What dost thou here, tarnished?
Oi, you running the witch, aren't you? You off your own brother.
Indeed, I am. Yet the curse mark thou seekest is not to be found here.
Well, where is it then?
I shall not tell thee. Now, begone!
Hello, I wanna serve you.
Thou thinkest me thick, perhaps. Thy faint service is but to seek the curse mark I cast away. Very well. I too am curious. Swear thy service.
So, because of that exchange, we are putting the Black Knife Catacomb Womb on A tier, as for its rewards. Next we have the King's Realm Ruins, starting off with the Illusory floor. As far as the difficulty is concerned, the only way to really find it is if you realize that all ruins have underground and you have not yet found the underground of this ruin and therefore go looking for it. There's also the Noble Sorcerer who might draw your attention to this location. As a difficulty, I'm rocking this one too very hard. As for the stuff behind it, we have of course the Royal Revenant boss fight. Yuck. And behind the Royal Revenant we have the Frozen Needle, which according to this one guy is a D tier weapon. And as you might realize, I lowered the weapon ranking even further in this tier list because they are only relevant if you're doing a build related to them. Additionally, the Revenant really sucks, so I really want to put this in F tier, but as I said, I do not want to put unique items in the F tier, and since the Frozen Needle is a unique item, I will put it in D tier. Next we have the Illusory Wall still in the King's Realm Ruins. As for its difficulty, it is clearly obvious that you are missing a big chunk of the map, so you would look for ways to find it. Additionally, from the sides of the ruins, you might clearly see that there is stuff on the other side of this wall, and it is instantly noticeable as a huge archway. Because of that, we are putting the Illusory Wall of the King's Realm Ruins in the easy tier. As for stuff behind it, we have Iji, we have the Karya Manor, Loretta's boss fight, Three Sisters behind it, Rani's questline, the entire graveyard area with the Ever Jail, so without even needing to analyze it further, we are easily putting this in the S tier. Next up we have the Three Sisters. Again, starting with the Illusory floor. You can only find it if you again realize that all ruins have undergrounds and realize you have not yet found the underground of this ruin. However, this particular ruin doesn't even have a map icon to indicate it is an actual ruined POI rather than just a random set of ruined buildings. There is of course the Noble Sorcerer who might draw your attention to this place, and you can of course buy the note, the Perceptor's Secret, from the Isolated Merchant in Royal Lucaria, which does indicate that Perceptor Selvas is hiding a dirty secret in the cellar among the ruins. Because of that, for this difficulty, we will rank the wall in the perfect tier. As for stuff behind it, we of course have all the Selvas' sex puppets, which are I suppose a bit of lore, and we of course have another Illusory Wall, so we will add up the items after we rank the next one. The Illusory Wall inside of Selvas' sex dungeon. For its difficulty, it is decently visible to spot. Additionally, since you just went through an Illusory Wall, you might be in the mind space of looking for another. Additionally, Selen, or the Vile Graven Witch, is mentioned in the note about the Perceptor's Secret, so you might put two and two together looking for it during her questline, and you might realize there is more that you're missing, something related to Selen. Because of all that, we will put the Three Sisters Illusory Wall in the perfect category. As for rewards behind it, we of course have Selen's feed, Selen's questline, and all the quest rewards for Selen's questline, which include this set of fashion cells, that set of fashion cells, that other set of fashion cells. We also get the Glintstone Kris, and which is Glintstone Crown. You can of course also go with Jaren, however that does lock you out of some of the items in exchange for an Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone, but I'm evaluating the Illusory Wall based off of what I consider to be the most valuable thing we can get out of it, which is fashion. Because of all those items, we are putting the Illusory Wall in A tier, and the Illusory floor, which is behind it, again into A tier, because there is not that much more added to it. Next up we head to the Academy of Royal Lucaria, starting off with the Illusory Wall in the entrance hall. As for the difficulty, it can somewhat be noticed by the two candlesticks on the sides, which are not really a thing anywhere else in the entrance hall. Additionally, when you're on the rooftops much later through the Academy, you might get an angle to see the item behind the wall, and you might realize you're missing something. That being said, I do still believe that it is quite hard to find, so I will put it in the very hard tier. As for stuff behind it, we have all the coffins, which I suppose add a bit of lore to the location, and you have a single rune arc. Now, a rune arc is a nice item and all, but I don't think it quite justifies putting it out of D tier. Continuing through the academy, we have the Illusory bookshelf, which is just after the classroom grace. It's noticeable that there are no books on the bookshelf itself. Additionally, the item does draw your attention to this location. Additionally, when you're leaving the big water wheel elevator, you could spot the item on the side, which means you do realize you're missing an item. Very unlikely, but potentially you might notice all the different sorcerers and realize you're missing one of their crowns, and from there realize it's maybe in the academy and come back to look for it. That is extremely unlikely to happen, especially to guess that you're supposed to look for it in the academy. However, it is hypothetically a possibility that someone might find it that way, so I decided to mention it. Because of that, I'll put the after classroom Illusory bookshelf in perfect tier. As for stuff behind it, we have a large hard smithing stone, which is a level 4 for those who don't use the best mod in the game. We have 2 Trinos lilies and the Olivinous glintstone crown. The crown can be a nice bit of fashion if you're going for a drip that it complements. Additionally, this house has some function cells, so I'll put the rewards from this Illusory bookshelf in B tier. Continuing through the academy, we have the Illusory bookshelf, which is just before the Red Wolf of Radagon. Yet again, we have the lack of books on the bookshelf, which does draw attention to it. There's also the door which does not open from this side on the lower level, indicating that you're clearly missing something. And of course, the fact that you have already gone through a couple of Illusory walls through the academy, meaning you are more likely to look for others. Through all that, I will put the Ralcaria Illusory bookshelf just before the Red Wolf at the perfect tier. As for stuff behind it, we have a combat sorcery, we have a stone sword key, which could have been exciting, except there are literally 3 times more stone sword keys in the game than there are locations for stone sword keys, so rather useless. There are also the 6 living jars, and the Graven Skull talisman. As a whole, I'll put the stuff behind this wall in A tier. Next, we have the Moonfolk ruins. The only way to really find this one is if you already know that all ruins have undergrounds and then realize you have not yet found the underground for this one. I couldn't think of any other hint for this one, meaning it goes into the very hard tier. As for stuff behind it, the only thing is a chest with a large somber polar smithing stone, that is a number 8 for those of you who don't use the best mod, which, while it is a high tier item, it is not a unique item, and there are a lot of smithing stones in the game, especially the somber ones, which there is just an overload of. So Moonfolk ruins going in F tier. Continuing the ruins on the Moonlight Outer, we also have the Lunar Estate ruins. Now there is, of course, the usual information that every ruin has an underground, however there is also the very obvious Imp Stone Sword Key statue, which does mean that the Lunar Estate ruins go into the very easy category. As for stuff behind it, it does cost 1 Stone Sword Key to open, which does mean that you lose 1 Stone Sword Key to get the stuff, and there is a chest at the bottom which contains a Cerulean Amber Medallion +2. I don't think that medallion is something particularly interesting, not to mention the upgrade variant of the talisman generally tend to be pretty meh, and since it is after all a unique item, I cannot put it in F tier, therefore I will put it in D tier. Next, we head to the Kaelid Catacombs. The first illusory wall there is under the stairs. As for difficulty, it could be recognized that this place is open in other catacombs, so a player might remember to check. Additionally, there is another illusory wall in this area, so it might hint them off that there is more illusory walls and they'll be more likely to check. However, it is stuck in the butthole of the rotate area, and so players will likely rush to get through here, which does increase the difficulty a fair amount, putting the illusory wall under the stairs into the very hard tier. As for the stuff behind it, it has this one flower, it has 2 twin grave glewords, and it has the Miranda Sprout ashes. As a whole, I feel like that's pretty lame, but of course, since the ashes are a unique item, I cannot put it in F tier, putting it in the second lowest in D tier. Continuing through the Kaelid Catacombs, we have the illusory wall which is in front of the boss door. For its difficulty, you do need that illusory wall to complete the dungeon, so it's clear you're missing something, so the player is very likely to check places. Additionally, there is a bit of a dry patch which doesn't have rot in the area just in front of the illusory wall, which could draw the player's attention to this place, ranking this illusory wall as perfect. As for stuff behind it, there is the boss lever, which opens the Cemetery Shade boss fight, which I think is the rather best boss fight, which also drops the Kindred of Rot Ashes, which I don't really care about. But since there is a boss fight as well as a unique item, I cannot put them in F tier, so I'm putting them in D tier. Next up, we have the Celia Hideaway. Starting off with the illusory wall blocking the very entrance of the cave. The only real indication about it is if you buy the Note Hidden Cave from the isolated merchant in Northwest Kaelid or Dragon Barrel, which does indicate there is a cave beyond Celia. Because it's only that hint, I will put the cave into very hard. As for stuff behind it, we have the very start of the cave, as well as the illusory wall which leads further into the cave. However, we will return to rank that after we rank the further illusory walls. Next up, ranking the dead end at the body or the first dead end in the cave. As for difficulty, there's barely anything in the cave if you do not find this illusory wall, therefore there's a pretty clear indication that there is something, ranking this wall in the easy tier. As for the stuff behind it, we have but a small corridor which leads into the next illusory wall, so we will again backtrack after we rank the next illusory wall. Just behind this one we have the second dead end illusory wall, which is pretty easy to find because, again, the cave is empty without it. Additionally, we already have the habit that there are illusory walls around here, so the player is more likely to check. Putting this one exactly next to the last one in the easy tier. Going through this one unlocks the entirety of the rest of the cave, which involves this ravine section, the bottom area with the Revenant, the second section of the Crystal Cave, this little hidey bit, and of course the triple Crystallian boss, which in my opinion is a pretty annoying boss, along with its reward, the Crystal Torrent spell. Since I don't think the boss fight is particularly good, and the Revenant at the bottom is rather annoying, and I don't think there's any especially special items in this place, but it is an entire dungeon, so because of that we will put it in A tier. Retroactively, we will of course put the other two also in A tier, since they don't really add anything of relevance. Before we finish with the Thalia hideaway, we of course have the Leo side wall, which hides the Crystal Spear. Your attention might be drawn to this corner by the Preserving Wallace's item pickup, as well as the fact that you already know there are the illusory walls in this area, so we're more likely to check. However, it's still not very easy to find. Because of that, we will put it in the hard tier. As for stuff behind it, the only item is the Crystal Spear, which according to this one guy is a D tier weapon. As usual, I would lower the rankings of weapons, since they're only relevant if you're doing a build relevant to that weapon. However, since it is a unique item after all, I cannot put it in F tier, putting it in D tier. Next up, we have the Sage's Cave. We start with the very first illusory wall in the cave. As for difficulty, it's pretty easy to find, since without it the cave is empty, so we will put it into the easy tier. As for the stuff behind it, there is a little section of the cave with a skeleton leading into another illusory wall. So we will of course backtrack and rank this one once we have ranked the next one. The next illusory wall is the dead end by the skeleton. Yet again, we have the indication that we have not yet found a boss or anything of the sort, so we must be missing something. Additionally, you can even see down the waterfall that there is another place we have not yet accessed, which cannot be jumped to. And since we have already gone through one illusory wall to get here, the player does know that this place might have more illusory walls, putting this place yet again in the easy tier. As for what is found behind it, it has the entirety of the rest of the cave, including the invisible Black Knife Assassin boss fight, which I think is a fun boss. I enjoy Black Knife Assassins. This one has an interesting gimmick with the invisibility, but even if you don't solve the invisibility by having the torch, it is still pretty doable by looking at the floor and the splashes, so I think that's a good boss fight. The Concealed Veil with an interesting talisman, but I don't think it's something particularly useful. Before we rank this one, however, there are other illusory walls in the area, so we'll come back to rank it later. There is the illusory wall hidden between the two braziers, which yet again we already know we are looking for illusory walls since there has been multiple. Additionally, the braziers do draw attention to this little corner of the area, putting this one in the easy tier as well. As for what's behind it, there are these four skeletons. There is a budding cave moss, a silver pickled foul foot, a black hood, which could be some nice fashion if it fits your drip. There is the Candle Tree wooden shield, which is not very good in terms of its stats, however it could be potentially fashion if you want to have a cool shield on your back or something like that. And lastly, there is a nice and butterflies. There are a couple of meh things, along with the couple of pieces of potential fashion, as well as the Scaly Gangbang, which would drag it down a notch. So for the stuff hidden behind it, we are putting it in C tier. We have the illusory wall in the room filled with skeletons. Yet again, we do have the habit that we're looking for illusory walls. There is a skeleton looking at it, although we're likely going to just aggro him and not necessarily notice. There is the decently obvious glow from the wall as well. So for its difficulty, we're putting this one in the very easy tier. As for what's behind it, we have a single chest with a stone sword key in it. Again, stone sword keys could have been an exciting item, however the fact that there is 3 times more stone sword keys in the game than there are locations for the said stone sword keys to go, and I think even if you don't count the ones sold by traders, there are still 2 times as many in the game than there are locations for them. So as for the rewards behind it, this is going into the F tier. Further on, there is the illusory wall near the end of the dungeon. Yet again, since we have had other illusory walls, the player is likely to look for ones here as well. Additionally, it is a semi-dead end, as you have to drop down a little to grab the moss. So with that in mind, we will put the backside cave into the perfect tier. As for stuff behind it, we have the Raptor's Black Feathers, which I think is a pretty cool piece of fashion souls, especially if it fits your drip, and it does have some function souls as well. And we have the Skeletal Mask, which could be some good fashion souls as well. There is also the other illusory wall, so we'll come back to rank this one after we have done the other one. Just after it, we have the illusory wall leading to Garrus. Again, the player is likely to look for illusory walls since there have been plenty of them up to this point. However, the fact that you have just gotten loot in this room might indicate to you that this is now a dead end, so for its difficulty we will put this one in the hard tier. As for what's behind it, we just have Gary, who I think is a pretty bad boss fight. 1, NPC boss fights are lame, and 2, the snails are pretty annoying. His drop, of course, is the family heads, which according to this guy is a B tier weapon. However, since all weapons are only relevant if you are doing a build which uses them, we will put them in the C tier. Now backtracking in the previous room with the Raptor's Black Feathers and the Skeletal Mask, since that's a pretty cool piece of gear, on top of the stuff from Gary, we'll turn it up a notch and put it in B tier. And going further back and ranking everything in the cave, including the boss fight and the Concealing Veil, I think that is a pretty convincing A tier. And of course the very first illusory wall doesn't really add anything relevant in terms of items, so it will remain in A tier. Next up we head to the Volcano Manor, starting off with the first illusory wall which leads to the entirety of the manor. As for the difficulty, it's pretty clear that there is more of the manor both on the map and just looking at it, so it is pretty clearly missing something. Additionally, Raya does say,
"Sometimes I hear strange sounds beyond the walls."
And of course on the other side of the gate you do have the door which does not open from this side, so as a whole this wall will be ranked in the easy category. As for what's behind it, we have the entirety of the manor, the lower town section, the upper lava section, and of course the boss fight of Rykard himself. Now it is worth noting that you can get to the manor by alternate means, by getting kidnapped by the Iron Virgin at the bottom of Ralocaria, while Rykard himself is also accessible if you complete the Volcano Manor questline. So while this isn't the exclusive way to get to either of these locations, it is pretty clearly the main path, so I will still put this in S tier. Of course, slightly after this illusory wall, we have the corridor which leads straight into the other one. As for difficulty to find it, we just went through a illusory wall, so we do know there is possible to be more. There is of course the door which does not open from this side on the side of the corridor, and it is also decently visible if you actually go to this corner. For its difficulty, we are putting this one on the perfect tier. As for what's behind it, the only item is the depraved perfumer Karma on Ashes, and the stupid door, which does not open from the other side, but apparently from this side it isn't even a door. Because of that, we are putting this one in D tier. Next up, we have the Mirage Rise Illusory Rock. For its difficulty, it's clearly missing something since you have not yet solved the puzzle. Additionally, you have of course the hint leading you into this general area. There are the imps which spawn around here, which draw your attention to this area on top of the hint. And lastly, there is the glow around the rock, which also draws your attention to it. So as a whole, we'll rank Mirage Rise in the very easy category. As for the stuff behind it, it of course solves the puzzle and unlocks the tower, which by extension gives you the spells Unseen Blade and Unseen Form, and 5 Slumbering Eggs. While I don't think the rewards are anything amazingly great, the fact is that it solves the puzzle, and Souls games puzzles are pretty fun, so for rewards we are putting it in B tier. Next up we have the Sainted Hero's Grave. Going up here is a bit of a dead end, so the player might realize that there might be something else here. Additionally, the flower does draw you into that corner, and the archway itself is pretty visible, putting the difficulty on this one in easy. As for what's behind it, right. Yeah, nothing. Literally nothing. It does give you an alternate path to the next room, except the only potential value of that is that you might have to fight 2 imps together instead of 1, so that's literally just worse. I guess you can watch this one imp just jog back and forth, if you feel like it, but I don't know. That is a pretty definitive F tier. Moving on to the Sealed Tunnel, starting off with the Illusory wall at the very start of the cave. As for its difficulty, without this wall the cave is absolutely empty, so it is pretty clear that there is something hidden somewhere, putting the difficulty of this one onto easy. As for what's behind it, it includes the start of the mine, which among other things has the chest which contains a hard-smithing stone miner bell bearing. It of course contains another illusory wall, so we will not rank this one until we have ranked the other ones. Moving on to the wall behind the chest, we of course have not yet fought a boss in this dungeon, so it's likely we're missing something. Additionally, the player has opened an illusory wall to get here, so they do know that this place has illusory walls, making them more likely to check for even more. That being said, it's at a somewhat of an awkward location behind the chest. Additionally, the bell bearing itself is a pretty big reward, so the player might just think, oh, that must be the end of the cave. So as a whole, we will put this one in the perfect tier for its difficulty. As for what is behind it, it leads to the elevator shaft down, and of course another illusory wall. Moving on to the illusory wall at the bottom of the elevator where the roots are. Yet again, the player hasn't yet fought a boss. Additionally, there's an elevator which seemingly leads to nowhere, and of course the fact that there are multiple illusory walls to get here makes the player more likely to check, putting this one in the easy tier. For what's behind it, it just leads to a great fringe folk rune, and of course another illusory wall. So moving on to the next illusory wall, the one at the dead end at the bottom of the roots. Yet again, we have not yet fought a boss. Additionally, there is the fact that we use multiple illusory walls to get here, so the player is very likely to check for more. Additionally, the dead end here seems a bit weird. So this one joins the last one in the easy tier. What's behind it is of course the area with a lot of roots and the iron version at the bottom. We have the next section of the cave as well, and of course has yet another illusory wall, so we will not rank the stuff in this one until we have ranked the next one. And lastly, we have the illusory wall that is behind the boxes if you proceed forward from the stairs. It has the same difficulty for lack of boss in this area and the fact that there are other illusory walls. However, contrary to the previous ones which were at pretty obvious locations, this one is at a little bit more awkward place, especially the fact that it's hidden behind the boxes. So because of that, we will put it in the perfect tier. As for what's behind it, we have a little bit more of the mine. Then we of course have the boss, who is an Onyx Lord, who in my opinion is a fun boss. And we of course have the boss reward, which is the Onyx Lord Greatsword, which this guy puts in the C tier. On top of that, once we defeat the boss, we can reach the Divine Tower, which allows us to unlock Rykard's Great Rune. And Great Runes are a pretty cool mechanic since there is only a handful of them. So, the cool boss fight, along with the weapon, along with the Divine Tower, I will put the Sealed Tunnel in S tier. All the walls leading up to this one will of course also be put in S tier because they don't take anything away, but they by extension contain whatever is in the further illusory walls. Moving on, we have the Oriza Side Tomb. For its difficulty to find it, it is a pretty obvious archway, not to mention we are looking for a lever, and so the stuff hidden behind this illusory wall does by extension lead into the boss lever, and by extension to the boss itself. So because of the obvious archway and the way to find it, we will put this in the easy tier yet again. As for what's hidden behind it, we have access to most of the dungeon really, along with the puzzle itself with the teleporting chests and whatnot. We also have, of course, the boss lever, which leads by extension to the boss, who is a Grave Warden duelist along with 4 jars, and the boss drop itself, which is the Soul Jars of Fortune Ashes. As a whole, the Grave Warden duelist is a fun boss, however, the odds make it a little annoying. The Soul Jars of Fortune Ashes are of course cute, and the puzzle itself for the dungeon is a pretty unique one with the 2 realities that you go back and forth between. So because of all this stuff adding up, we will put this one as well in the S tier. Moving on onto the Lane Catacombs, or more specifically the area just to the side of them. Starting off with a double illusory wall, of course there's the fact that the enemies respawn infinitely, and that could indicate to the player that there is something they're missing in order to stop them from respawning. Additionally, it is at a usual location where many catacombs do have areas, and of course the fact that it's double walls does mean that there is like essentially double chance of a player finding it, putting this one into the easy tier as well. As for what's behind it, we do have just this one guy, And of course another illusory wall, so we will come back to rank this one once we've ranked the next one. As for the wall that's just behind this one, still we have not stopped the unlimited respawns. Additionally, it is at a location where many catacombs do have hidden stuff. The only difference from the previous one is that it's not a double, but to make up for that, we have just gone through an illusory wall, and so the player is more likely to look for another, putting this one in the exact same tier in the easy one. As for what's behind it, we of course have the snail, which stops the unlimited respawning enemies, which is a bit and we have the Holy Drake Talisman +1. While I do like the damage reduction talismans, we will most likely get a further upgraded one before we really need too much holy resistance, and so as a whole we will put the rewards behind this one into the C tier. The previous wall doesn't really add anything else apart from an extra enemy, so it also go into the C tier. Moving on onto the Cathedral of the Forsaken, that is Sewer Moog's boss arena. The location is not that obvious because it's just an outer behind the chest, and of course it is hidden behind the chest. Not to mention we have fought something of a main boss, and so it is likely for this to be a dead end. The only real indication that there is something here is of course the Melon dialogue.
If you intend to claim the frenzied flame, I ask that you cease. It is not to be meddled with.
So we will put this one into the heart tier. As for what's hidden behind it, we have a whole bunch of yellow embers, we have a bunch of frenzied merchants, some of them quite chill. We have a few pickups of 5 Grace Mimics, 5 Eyes of Yellow, a Golden One's Rune, a Frenzied Cookbook, a Hefty Beast Bones, the Merchant Set, the Inescapable Frenzy Incantation, a Fingerprint Stone Shield, and the Hint World Mikkela's Needle. We also have a whole lot of Gravity Deaths. At the very bottom we have the potential ending to Hayata's questline, as well as the 3 Fingers and by extension the Frenzy Flame Lord ending. There is also another illusory wall. I could do what I usually do by ranking what's behind the other illusory wall first and then coming back to this one. However, I think all this on its own is an easy S tier, so I don't need to do that. Moving on to the Frenzied Flame prescription. Starting with the first illusory wall, it could be somewhat noticeable if you look at the wall. Additionally, if you do get to the deep route by using the alternate path, you could potentially spot that there are routes which should be accessible but are not from the bottom, and then put a marker there and kind of figure out the location of this area. Even still, I think that should go into the heart tier. Behind it is a chest containing a rune arc, as well as, of course, another illusory wall, so we will come back to rank this one later. As for the wall that is behind the chest, it could similarly potentially be found if you're looking at the bottom of the road, since you have still not found your way to these roads. Of course, the fact that you just went through another illusory wall would make the player more likely to look for even more. However, it is hidden behind the chest, so a player could very likely think that the chest is the only reward. So similarly, we will put this one in the heart tier. As for what's behind it, we of course have the routes leading down to the area of the deeper depths, and of course by extension the entire deeper depths themselves. Now the deep roads themselves are an entire area with a whole bunch of bosses and a lot of items, so I would put them in the S tier. However, the fact that it is accessible from another location would pack down the illusory wall's usefulness just a tad into the A tier. By extension, the rune arc doesn't really add much and it will remain into the A tier. Moving on to the Giant's Mountaintop Catacombs. For the difficulty of this illusory wall is that it is somewhat noticeable, however, if you are sprinting through here, you might not notice it. Additionally, if you don't open the illusory wall, you would not have a hidey hole for the thingy blowing frost, so you would potentially find it this way. I'm putting this one in the perfect tier. As for what's behind it, we have this imp, and we have a large lone ghost glovewort. Additionally, we can of course use it as a hidey hole from the blowing frost. However, you don't need to worry about the thing blowing frost if you just take it down with a ranged attack, or with one of the shackles, which would also by extension reveal the illusory wall. So, since I don't think it's anything particularly useful, not to mention that it doesn't have any unique items, we're putting it in the F tier. Moving on through the mountaintops into the giant conquering hero's grave. For the difficulty to find it, the wall is somewhat noticeable because it's cleaner. Additionally, you could potentially spot from the bottom that there is an item or that there is a longer row of windows. However, that's not very likely as you have to look pretty far up. Because of that, we are putting it in the heart tier. As for what's behind it, the only item is a Golden One's Rune, pretty meh. Additionally, it does allow you to bypass the watchdog, so you can fight the imps on their own and only then worry about the watchdog. However, even if you just sprint through him, the watchdog takes so long to reach you anyways that by the time he reaches you, you would have likely taken care of the small ones. Not to mention, he does have friendly fire, so even if you fight them together, you can kinda just dodge around and let him take care of them. So because of that, we are putting this one in the F tier. Moving on to the hidden path to the Halic tree. As for the difficulty to find it, the glovewort does kinda draw your attention to this corner. Additionally, you could potentially notice that there are more windows looking from the side or from the top. You can even notice the chest from some particular angles, but that's rather unlikely, so we will put it in the heart tier. As for what's behind it, it has just a chest containing the Silver Scarab talisman. That is a nice talisman, but nothing absolutely crazy, and so we will put it in B tier. Moving on into the Realm of Shadow, we head on to Rabbath's Rise. As for difficulty of finding it, it is of course required to solve the tower, so the player would know that they are looking for something. Not to mention it is a pretty noticeable location, with pretty clear archways and no items hiding them. Because of that, it is going into the easy tier. As for what's behind it, we have the rock pile, which by extension unlocks the Spirit Spring, which by extension gives you Rabbath's Cannon. According to this guy, Rabbath's Cannon is a B-tier weapon. As per usual, since the weapon is only relevant if you're doing a build which makes use of it, I would take it down a notch to C tier. However, because the entire thing is a puzzle, and puzzles are fun to solve, I will notch it back up into B tier. Next up, we have the illusory wall inside of the Lamenter's jail. As for its difficulty, it is somewhat noticeable, as it is something of a dead end, kinda. Additionally, we get the key, and we have not found the keyhole without the illusory wall, and so the player is likely to think to themselves, huh, there is this key, and I never use it, so there must be something I'm missing. Therefore, the player is likely to look for something. Because of that, we are putting it in the easy tier. As for what's hidden behind it does of course require the key for you to enter. As for the items, it has a small Shadow Realm rune, a lamenting visage, and a hole you can jump back to the previous area if you for some reason want to do that. The lamenting visage is a kinda cool, interesting item, however it's nothing too special, and the other items are nothing special either, so we'll put it in C tier. Next up, we head to this Shadow Keep, starting off with the first wall, which is next to the painting. It is somewhat noticeable that the wall is rather clean in this area, however the painting does draw your attention, and it might seem like the reward that you came down here for, and so the player might not look for anything else. Of course, the player does see on their map that they are missing a large area, and so they know they are missing something. However, you might potentially reach this place from a million different places, and so you're unlikely to know that you have to look for it exactly here. Because of that, we will put it into the Heart tier. As for what's behind it, we have the ruins of Unted, the entire path down to the Abyssal Wood, including the Hippos, the Darklight Catacombs, the Abyssal Wood themselves, and Midra's Mouse along with Midra himself. So, because of all these things, we are easily putting it in S tier. Then there is the second illusory wall in Shadow Keep, which is above the stairs on the side path. For the difficulty to find it, it is somewhat of a dead end, or like a little bit dead end alcove thingy, and the archway is decently noticeable. Because of that, we are putting this one into the perfect tier. As for what's behind it, the only item is a Battlefield Priest Worm's Cookbook, which does allow the crafting of a Sunworm Stone. Well, that is of course a nice item, I don't think it's anything too crazy, so we are putting it in D tier. Next, we move on to Midra's Manse, starting off with the illusory wall or the illusory painting in the entrance hall. Without it, the entire manse is of course a dead end, so the player is likely to realize they're missing something. Of course, there is also the door which does not open from this side, again indicating to the player they're missing something. Lastly, the painting does draw the player's attention to this corner, so as a whole it is an easy to find illusory wall. As for what's behind it, it has the first half of the manse, including the hint of how to defeat the aging untouchables, and of course it has another illusory wall, so we will come back to rank this one after we have ranked the next one. Secondly, we have the illusory wall, which is a portrait of Midra and Nanaya. For this difficulty, you still know there is more of the manse you're missing. Additionally, the painting does draw your attention, and of course, you have just opened an illusory wall to get to here, or an illusory painting specifically, and so you're likely to look for more, again, especially when it's a painting. Because of that, we are putting this one in the easy tier. Moving on to what's behind it, we have the lever, which leads to the second part of the manse, which includes stuff like Nanaya's sword, Nanaya herself, Nanaya's feet, 2 sets of spirit ashes, and of course the boss fight to Midra, who is a pretty big boss fight, especially if he doesn't blue screen my entire PC. Because of that, we are easily putting this into the S tier, and the previous wall along with it goes to S tier as well. Before continuing, let's take a moment to appreciate how beautiful this place is. If you've made it this far, you're probably enjoying the video, so why not drop a like and a subscribe? It took me over 40 hours to put it together, and for a small creator that's quite a big chunk of time. Those 2 clicks cost you absolutely nothing, but they help quite a lot. Alrighty, back to the video. And last but not least, we move over to the Royal Ruins. For the difficulty to find it, the set of 2 torches on either side of it do draw your attention to this corner. Additionally, you can, and you are very likely to, find the other side of the illusory wall anyways on the top. I suppose in which case the illusory wall is a way out, so you're likely to know that there should be some way out of this area. So because of all that, it is easily going into the very easy category. As for what's behind it, it has a bone stone as well as Antiquity Scholar's Spirit Cookbook, or if you jumped in, it is your way out if you don't want to travel out. But since there are ways to get to both sides of this illusory wall, and the item itself is nothing special, I'm easily putting this into the F tier. If you want to analyze the tier list as a whole, for difficulty they are leaning to the easy side of the tier list, however they are still decently well distributed. And looking at the stuff behind the walls, S tier has the most, gradually dropping down with each tier, with the exception of the C tier, which is kinda just out of place there. I guess you don't really want to put many things in it. Thank you for watching. Let me know what changes you would make to the tier list in the comments down below, and check me out on that live streaming platform if you want to hang out during challenge runs. And other than that, as always, I'll see you next time.